You don't have to travel to the North Pole to find Santa's elves. They're right here in this Northland we call Minnesota. Toy makers who carve, sew, and craft unusual dolls, teddy bears, and trains that can be handed down from generation to generation.
1, 2, 3, toys.
Tonight, come along as we explore the biggest toy store of its kind in the country, just a short drive from the Twin Cities, where they make unique, handmade wonders. And it all started with a mum and dad who wanted quality toys for their babies to play with.
It was something we loved doing, and, you know, we weren't after millions of dollars.
This Minnesota toy maker never knows for sure how her dolls will turn out. In fact, they have an uncanny way of evolving on their own.
Looking more like a real person in there.
The best gifts come from the heart. A talented seamstress captures the true meaning of Christmas by making stockings for strangers. We guarantee it. Every kid with a skateboard will want one of these for Christmas.
These ramps are slower and better.
They're made right here in Minnesota.
I'm Jason Davis. Come along as we go on the road to meet some Minnesotans who make the greatest toys in the world.
When we go on the road, there's a place I want to see. When we go on the road, why don't you come with me? Take a little ride, get a little windshield time. When we go on the road.
Some of our fondest childhood memories include that one very special toy. For me, it was a tin train like this one that my brother Derek and I got back in 1945, and I've never forgotten it. This place would have been a dream come true for us. Lark Toys is the largest specialty toy store in the nation. We were here 15 years ago to see how it all began.
Highway 61 at Kellogg, Minnesota runs right by the little factory and store, but few stop to read the sign. It's not an idle boast. The inside of this building is astonishing. Packed from floor to ceiling are thousands of the finest toys in the world, and many of them are made right here.
Well, we call them our 100-year toys. In other words, we hope in 100 years they're still around. We have a lot of adults that buy them. They have grandchildren, but when the grandchildren leave at the end of the day, they put them up on top of the fireplace, and they have them sitting out.
Don and his wife Sarah have doggedly avoided copying other toys, and it's paid off. The sturdy wooden animated pull-alongs they produce don't stay on the storeroom shelves very long. Don Kriofsky, who has made so many children's dreams come true, has a dream of his own, and that is to build on this site the first all-wooden carousel to be made in the United States in the past 50 years, and the first ever to be made in Minnesota. 15 years after our first visit, Lark Toys has grown dramatically, although you won't appreciate it if you just drive by. But there's a real treat in store for those smart enough to stop.
We consider ourselves a destination, so people have to know about the place or have talked to somebody else.
It all began more than 20 years ago when Don and Sarah Kriofsky had their first child.
We had a baby boy, and we couldn't find wooden toys, and I didn't like the plastic ones. So he made Chad's, our oldest son's, first toys.
So I went out in the garage and made a wooden toy.
Don says he has more than 190,000 playthings on display or for sale in the half-dozen rooms that make up this kid's paradise. It's a 31,000 square foot toy box. And remember Don's dream to build a carousel? Today, his weird and wonderful merry-go-round is a favorite for all ages with its fanciful animals, all designed by Don Kriofsky. It took 4 carvers nearly 6 months to finish each one of the creatures that look familiar but defy description. Usually you can find Sarah Kriofsky at the controls. It's where she loves to be.
It isn't the same as work. It isn't the same.
It's something you enjoy.
Yeah, I would say 99% of it is fun.
Don Kriofsky is a polio victim. He was paralyzed as a child, and he still finds it difficult to walk. That's why you'll usually find him sitting behind the counter in one of the toy stores, waiting for victims. This woman has obviously been caught before. Look how wary she is. These kids are fresh and innocent. How could they know that the jovial old guy has a few tricks up his sleeve?
Now watch, here comes my pet snake. You ready? You sure? Ooh. Ooh. Ooh.
The Lark in Lark Toys stands for Lost Arts Revival by Kriofsky. They still sell the fine wooden toys that Don designs. In fact, you can't buy them anywhere else. But over the years, this couple have accumulated one of the finest collections of antique toys in the country. Cases and cases of mostly metal toys that are a three-dimensional history of what kids have played with for generations. The very valuable displays grow each year as people bring in their treasures, not to sell, but to place into the care of this fun-loving couple who treasure every toy.
They'd like it to be somewhere where people get to see it and not have to worry about it being resold.
But there is much more to Lark than toys. Over the years, the Kriofskys have added a miniature golf course and spectacular water display outside, shut down at this time of the year for the winter, and a large cafe inside where they serve all kinds of snacks and drinks, and of course lots of ice cream. One department is just plumb full of books that include all the old favorites and many contemporary children's writers and illustrators. My pick is this extraordinary display of paper doll books, featuring such luminaries as Bill Clinton, Hillary, and not forgetting Chelsea. Or you can dress up Richard Nixon and his family, even the Pope. By providing the personal touch and sticking to only quality products, these two Minnesotans are not only surviving, they're thriving.
It's a completely different audience than a big box store. We actually get a chance to talk to people, meet them when they come in the door. We talk to them as they're in here. Generally, those are always wonderful people.
In a perfect world, every child would get a gift for Christmas. And there are plenty of Minnesotans who try to make sure that no child is forgotten. About 5 years ago, we met a woman from Sauk Rapids, Minnesota, whose story reminds us of what this season of giving is all about.
We're gonna say toys. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Toys! Good job.
A visit from Santa is a highlight of the Christmas celebrations for these youngsters at the St. Cloud Children's Home. All of these kids have serious emotional problems, frequently as a result of abuse or neglect.
Danny, you got 5 for me? All right, have a seat.
So at this time of the year, they are temporarily separated from their families, but they are not forgotten. Not far away in Sauk Rapids, Kathy Schluter is working to make Christmas stockings for needy kids all over the country.
Sewing them for kids, because I love kids, and giving them to kids that don't have much of anything at Christmas or won't be home with their families at Christmas.
Kathy is a former school teacher who had to take a part-time job as a librarian because she is very ill.
Lung disease is not curable, progressively getting worse.
But Kathy discovered that sewing helped her and others. This year, Kathy has made nearly 2,000 stockings, but they don't leave her home empty. Each one is filled to overflowing with gifts. And who do you think paid for them?
How much have you spent? Ballpark.
Oh, gee, a couple $1,000 for sure.
As Kathy fills box after box with Christmas stockings, they are stacked in her garage before shipping to where they're most needed.
I want every kid to know there's somebody there for them.
I just happen to have down here a Christmas sock just full of goodies. Just for you. Okay?
The whole operation is so time-consuming that Kathy only takes 2 weeks off after Christmas. The rest of the year, she's at her sewing machine making stockings.
This is for you. You can hang it back up in your cabin. In this sock here is a whole bunch of more toys for you, okay?
She never sees the kids who get her gifts. She doesn't need to.
Great. They don't know me. They don't even know my name. But they're just thrilled, and them being thrilled, it's, I don't know, makes it worthwhile.
You'll barely recognize this old fur coat when Grandma Gertie gets finished with it. We'll show you her enchanting creations, every one of them unique.
Give it to me and I will make teddy bears.
With a simple gift, a driveway at home can turn into skateboard heaven. We'll show you how. And later, you'll see how Minnesotans put their Tonka in these toy trucks.
They're on.
There's one toy in particular that's been a children's favorite for centuries, the warm, cuddly teddy bear. But what if this bear was made of mink or lamb's wool? We met a woman in Roseau, Minnesota that's made dozens of bears using some of the finest materials that money can buy.
It happened quite a few years ago in this cottage by a stream in the woods of northwestern Minnesota.
My brother said he had our mother's fur coat, and what should he do with it? The fur coats are not being used by the young people like we did, and so they're just hanging in closets. Some of these have been hanging for 30, 40, 50 years. And I said, well, give it to me and I will make teddy bears.
It's quite a sight to see Grandma Gertie take a perfectly good mink coat and get to work on it with her scissors.
My customers are very patient, have given me leeway to take their prized fur coat and just cut it up.
Gertie has been busy turning mink, muskrat, seal, otter, Persian lamb, rabbit and fox into bear. After making bears for family and friends, Gertie found herself swamped with fur coats from people who had heard about her unusual craft. So Gertie had to start charging a small fee to turn a coat into a bear.
Less than $50, huh?
Yes, less than $50.
Your prices are far too high.
I know that, and I understand that, but I also have a joy in doing it.
Gertie has branched out a little, making whole families of bears if the coat is big enough, and even bears dressed just like their owners. When the customers come to pick up their stuffed animal, they'd barely recognize their old fur coat.
When I was a kid, we often had to make our own toys. I would take my mother's old thread spools, a piece of candle, a matchstick, and a rubber band, and make a tank. Today's boys are much more likely to find things like video games or skateboards under the tree, and if they're very lucky, a one-of-a-kind skateboard ramp, made in Duluth.
The development of many new products begins here at the Natural Resources Research Institute in Duluth. And here's a novel new way to use thin sheets of commonly found woods, like aspen and poplar. After being covered with glue and stacked together, the wood is placed over a mold in a vacuum press.
The glue looks tight.
The new form is a portable skateboard ramp, and its developers figured there's only one true test to see if it works.
We wanted something that would be easy to move, that would be quiet.
And indestructible.
And indestructible, that's right.
The regular wooden ramps didn't last here in Duluth, so the Parks and Rec people built metal versions. These worked quite well, but turned out to be very noisy and, according to 9-year-old Zachary Owie, are extremely dangerous.
It really hurts when you land on this metal. It's sticking out about an inch, and it hurts when you crash into it.
Ouch!
It feels like somebody just ran you over with a motorcycle.
So according to Zach, who should be immediately signed up by the makers to promote their product, the new sun ramps are just the ticket.
These ramps don't have the sharp edges. These ramps are slower and better.
Have you given a good testing?
Yes, we have.
Show me how you test them.
Move the skipper.
Coming up, we'll take you to a Minnesota workshop where remarkable Santa dolls are born.
When I do the shows, they'll look in their booth, oh, yeah, just.
And we'll tell you how to find this spectacular toy store in Minnesota. Don't forget our toady friend Hitch appears somewhere in our show tonight. If you see him, let us know at KSTP.com and you'll be eligible to win an on-the-road souvenir.
Children love their Christmas toys and their eyes always light up if they get a chance to meet the guy who brought them. So you can imagine the joy of some children who are lucky enough to get a Santa doll under their tree, especially if it's made by a woman we met in Owatonna, Minnesota.
She spends hour after hour in her kitchen carefully sculpting features into pieces of clay.
This is where the personality comes out.
Artist Marilyn Henke likes to let the process take whatever direction it wants, as long as it's different.
Looking more like a real person in there instead of just this plastic stereotype Santa that, you know, you see all over the place.
A most important part of this evolution is the unique way that Marilyn makes dentures for most of her jovial-looking Santas.
There are a lot of wonderful doll artists, but not too many who do an open mouth or teeth. I think it really adds to his personality to have all that.
Marilyn's one-of-a-kind dolls are beginning to attract attention from serious collectors all over the country. They are not all Santas, but that's her speciality.
When I do the shows, they'll look in the booth, oh, yeah, just, you know, it's just that reaction, you know, I think it's just really fun.
Most of Marilyn Henke's dolls sell for between $200 and $600, but if you want to take home this life-size version, it'll cost you about $2,500. We're sure you'll want to see Lark Toys for yourselves, so here's the directions and some places to stay and things to do while you're in the area.
Lark Toys is located about 80 miles south of St. Paul on scenic Highway 61 in the southeast corner of the state. You can't miss it. It's just off the highway in the little town of Kellogg. The store is open from 9 to 5 during the week and from 10 to 5 at weekends. There are some pretty good places to stay in the area, including the new American Inn in nearby Wabasha, and the Holiday Inn and Riverport Inn in Winona. If you feel like a snack or a meal where you can get a taste of Hollywood in Minnesota, try Slippery's on the banks of the Mississippi in Wabasha. If the name seems familiar, it's because it's the same as the fictional cafe in the movie Grumpy Old Men, which was set but not filmed in the town. And between May and October, you can see loads more toys and a whole lot more at Elmer's Auto and Toy Museum across the river in Fountain City, Wisconsin. For more information about our stories in tonight's show, just go to KSTP.com, click on More News, and look for 5 on the Road. It's been a children's favorite for decades, but they don't make them like this anymore. We'll take you inside the original Tonka truck factory when we come back.
Boy, they don't make them like this anymore. Most kids have played with a Tonka truck sometime in their life. I bought this one for my son 20 years ago. Did you know these toys were made in Mound, Minnesota, near Lake Minnetonka? That's why they're called Tonka. Now, the factory closed many years ago, but we paid them a visit in 1982, and that story is tonight's On the Road classic.
It all began in 1946 when 3 local men began to make metal toys. Now 1,500 employees turn out nearly 350,000 units a week. It all starts here, heavy gauge steel slowly being swallowed by huge stamping machines that make the basic parts. From here on in, the process is not much different to the way they do it in Detroit. This process consumes more than 12,500 tons of steel every year, enough to build 19,000 large cars. They make over 100 different toys here at Tonka Toys, but none has ever been as popular as this, a mighty dump truck. In one 8-hour shift, they can make 2,700 of these. And since they came out in 1964, they've sold over 7 million. Toys spark a child's imagination, inspire learning, and play a vital role in enriching their lives. But more importantly, toys are fun. We hope you've enjoyed our stories of Minnesotans making toys, and perhaps you've had a chance to relive your own childhood. I'm Jason Davis. Drive carefully, and we'll see you next week. This is how you make your own toys. A thread spool, a little piece of candle, a matchstick, and a rubber band. You just notch out the edges to make it like a tank. Push the rubber band through like that. Hook it over a nail on the end. Push it through the candle. Put the matchstick through the end to hold it. Pull it tight and wind her up.